This inmate does just one thing every day, is to deliberately approach the prison guard, to scrutinize the keys around his waist, back in his cell and then meticulously draw the outline. He can't afford the slightest deviation, even a small detail. He had to draw it dozens of times, in order to replicate the look of the key. But everything is not over yet. When the prison guards finished checking the room, he would light a match, then scrutinize the lock hole of the cell door, then bring in a piece of white paper, carefully pressing on it, and rub it back and forth with his hand. Then he'd get an outline of the outside of the hole. How to know what it looks like inside? It's very simple. Roll up the paper and insert it slowly, then use a wooden stick to stir it back and forth. The inside of the hole is printed on the paper. Then he compared it with the key, although he had the drawing, but it was not enough to escape. He had to make it real. Obtaining the materials was a challenge, but the clever man quickly came up with a solution. That was to make a key out of wood. It was hard to get metal in the prison, but wood was plentiful. His companions laughed at him when they heard keys made of wood break easily. He said as long as you follow the lock hole grain, it won't break. Seeing that he was very serious, Mark had to agree. They happened to be working in the carpentry shop today. The man quickly made a model following the shape. The next step is just to bring it back for polishing, but to avoid being discovered by the prison guards, he hid the material in a kettle, and then signaled his companion. He hurriedly blocked the mouth of the bottle with a towel. The warden seemed to sense something. Then he had everyone line up to check the water bottle.
You know your look is very intense, Jenkins.
Sorry.
Under the absorbent effect of the wet towel, the model hidden inside was not poured out. Then the guard shook it twice. Seeing that there was nothing in it, he gave it back to him, and so the man had the materials he needed. All that was left to do was to sand down the contours. Then he glued it back together. A wooden key was ready. The glue was obtained by an old convict. The next step was to experiment. He looked forward to inserting the key into the lock hole, when a crunching sound was heard from inside. The man knew he had succeeded. So in the days to come, whenever the man had the chance, he would stare at the key on the prison guard's waist, and then memorize it in his head. He would need to make dozens of such keys, before he could open all the cell doors. Just like this, half a year passed. He had finally finished making the keys for all 15 doors. He made 24 more just in case. That day the three of them found a corner, changed their ready casual clothes on. Just at this time, the fat cop suddenly came to the utility room, inadvertently found the wire on the door lock. The prison break team has come to the iron door, and couldn't wait to open the iron door. When the men opened the next door, Charlie would close the door behind him again, and so one of them would open the door, one to close the door. Now all that was left was the last door. Even more fortunate, the outside door was open. Walking out is freedom. They can't help but smile with joy, but accidents always come so suddenly. The man tried all the keys, but they didn't work. He inserted the key with his last hope, but after a long time, the lock still didn't respond. Then they realized, the guards didn't carry the key on their belts. What should we do now? Should they turn back the same way? Mark knocked on the door and realized it was hollow. Since it was made of wood, it must be breakable. He took a file and chiseled straight away. This scared the rest of the two men, as Mark's hand speeds up. Finally, after 10 minutes had passed, they managed to chisel open the door lock. Immediately after that, they changed their civilian clothes all over. The moment the door of the room was pushed open, it was as if they had regained their lives. It all seemed so unreal. On the road they had to pretend to be calm, not to attract the attention of pedestrians. Soon they were out of the prison grounds, and took a cab to another city.